Hi all, welcome to the video lecture series of Object-Oriented Programming. In this video lecture, we'll be discussing about thread synchronization. So far, we discussed about threads, life cycle of threads, and how to create threads. We also saw how to create multiple threads within a program and how they behave. So when we have multiple threads in our program, say 2 or more threads in a program, there may be a situation at which all the threads or more than one thread try to access the same resource, and in that case the result that we may get may be something that we were not aware of, something we are not expecting. That is because we have multiple threads that tries to access the same resource at the same time. So in such situations, the result that we may get may be something that we are not expecting. For example, if we have multiple threads, say 2 or 3 threads, they are trying to write something to a same file. So we have file 1 into which we have multiple threads, say T1, T2 and T3. 3 threads are trying to write some content into that file 1. So the data that is inside the file 1 may be corrupted, because when thread T1 is trying to write something into this file, thread T3 might have written something else. Similarly, when T3 is trying to write something into this file, the thread T2 might have written something else. So since all these 3 threads are working parallelly, we cannot expect the final result, the final content inside this file. In such situations, we need to synchronize the actions of multiple threads, because when we synchronize the actions of multiple threads, we are ensuring that only one thread can access the shared resource at a single point of time. So that's the need of synchronization. And how to provide synchronization? For that, we have to create a synchronized block, and its syntax is like this. We have to use the keyword synchronized, then we have to mention the object identifier, then open and close a pair of curly brackets and write the lines of code inside it. So when we do like this, only one thread can access this block. When one thread is accessing this block, all the other threads will wait. As long as the current thread exits, all the other thread will wait. So we can make sure that only one thread will access this block at a time. In order to understand the need for synchronization, we will see an example in which synchronization is not applied. Then we will see what will be the output of that program, and then we will apply synchronization, and then we will see the output. So the need for synchronization will be more clear. In this example, we have created 3 classes. First class, the name is first, inside which we have a method display, and we have something to display here. The content to be displayed is the content inside the string variable message and a square bracket. And also we are asking to sleep the thread which calls this method for 1000 milliseconds, that is 1 second. And similarly, the corresponding catch block is here. So as you can see here, one square bracket, then message, and then square bracket here again. So in between a pair of square bracket, one word or one sentence, depending upon the content of MSG, this variable. That is the output of this method. We have under class second. As you can see, it is extending the class thread. So this class is now a thread, because the child of a thread is a thread. So the class second is now a child class of parent class thread. So second class is also a thread right now. Inside this class we have one string variable or string literal, and the other one is, as you can see, first FOBG. What is first? First is actually a class. So what is FOBG? It is the reference variable of that class first. And there is a constructor second which accepts 2 parameters. The first parameter is the object of class first, and second parameter is the string. And as you can see, the first parameter fp is assigned to fobg. What is fobg? It is the reference variable of class first. So this first parameter value is copied to fobg, and second parameter str is copied to string variable msg, and then we are calling the start method. What's the need of start method? Start method starts the thread. That means it gives the entry point to the method named run. So when this method is executed, it is actually the run method that gets invoked. So the run method inside the lines of code inside the run method starts executing. Inside the run method, we are actually calling the method display. Display is the method inside class first. So to call this method, we need to use the object of class first. So we are using fobg. Fobg is the object of class first here. So fobg.display, and we are passing msg as the parameter. So now this method will be executed. Now we have third class inside which we have the main method. So these two classes does not have the main method, so this program will not work. So in this class we have the main method. So all two of these three classes belongs to same program. So here inside main method, first of all we are creating one object of class first, like this. First fnew is equal to new first. So in here fobg as well as fp are reference variables of class first. They are not objects. If you want to create object, we need to use the keyword new and then call the constructor. So here fnew is the object, and then see we are creating threads. Why we are saying that it's creating threads? Here second is a thread because it is extending the class thread here. So class second is a thread. See, all the objects of class second will be a thread now. So ss, ss1 and ss2, all these three are threads. And as you can see here, all the three threads are sharing the object fnew. Fnew is the object of class first, and all the three threads are using the same object fnew. The second parameter string is different, welcome new programmer. The three words are different, but the first parameter of all the threads are the same. That is the object of class first. Okay, so that is what is explained here. So all the three threads shares the object fnew to call the method void display. So the method display is also shared by all the three threads. So the three threads ss, ss1 and ss2 make use of the shared object fnew to call the shared method display. We can see the output that we get when we run this program, because when we create the first thread ss, we are calling the constructor passing two values. When we call the constructor is mentioned here. The fnew is copied to fp and welcome is copied to str. Later on, now the value of fp is fnew. This fnew is copied to fobg and the word welcome is copied to msg. And then we are calling the method start. So this run method will be invoked by using the object fnew, because now fobg is equal to fnew. Fnew.display, we are calling the method display and passing the value welcome. So this welcome will be copied to this variable msg, and here we are printing a square bracket. So first square bracket and the word msg, the value will be welcome is displayed, and then see we are actually making the thread to sleep for 1 second. So now the thread ss goes to, it starts sleeping. At that time the second thread ss1 is created. Again these steps is repeated. So we again get the value a square bracket and the word new. The second thread is passing the value new, so we'll get this as the value. Again the second thread ss1 goes to sleep for 1 second. At that time even the thread ss is also sleeping. ss1 is now sleeping. Now ss2 is created. So when ss2 is created, again the steps are repeating. We are passing programmer as the second string input. So we'll be getting output as square bracket programmer. Again ss2 goes to starts sleeping. At that time the ss will resume back or will come back after sleeping. So now we'll be getting the closing curly bracket. So first closing curly bracket will be here, and after that ss1 will come back from sleep. So here the second closing square bracket. After SS1, SS2, SS2 also will come back from sleep, so we'll be getting the third closing curly bracket. So here all the three threads are sharing the same object and they are trying to access the same method at the same time. Okay, such a situation is known as the race condition. And as you can see here, the result is not synchronized. As you can see, we expected a square bracket after closing square bracket after each word, that is one word within a pair of square bracket. So we expected 3 pairs of square bracket and each word in those 3 pairs. That was the expected output, but the output that we are getting right now is something different. It is because the threads are not synchronized. So this is how we get the output when the threads are synchronized. Threads are not synchronized, and the situation that occurs when the threads are not synchronized is known as the race condition. Race condition, you'll be studying about race condition in operating system also. It is a situation at which multiple threads try to access the shared resource at the same time. So I hope you understood the output that we get just because the threads are not synchronized. Now we will see what will happen when we synchronize the threads, the actions of threads, and then we will see the output once again, and then it will be clear. The difference between two outputs will tell you what's the need of. Now how to synchronize a method. For that we need to use the keyword named synchronized. So to synchronize the above program that we saw just now, we must synchronize the access to the method display. The method display is shared by all the 3 threads, so we must synchronize the method or synchronize the access to the shared method display, then we'll be getting the correct output. Okay, so when we synchronize the shared method display, it makes available, or it makes the program, it makes the method available to only one thread at a time. Okay, and how to do that? For that we need to use the keyword named synchronized. Okay, so use the keyword synchronized along with the method name. So now the method name will be synchronized void display. So when the keyword synchronized is used, we are actually getting a lock, or we are actually locking the method, so that if one thread is using that method, then nobody else can use it until that method is released by the currently accessing thread. So if you want to get a lock, if you want to lock the whole object, we have to use the synchronized method or synchronized keyword in general. And now our method will look like this. The method header will look like this: synchronized void display string msg. And now we will see the program once again by using this keyword synchronized along with the method name display, and then we will see the output. This is the same program that we saw just before. Only difference is we have used the keyword synchronized along with the method name display. As you can see, the word synchronized is the keyword. So when we use this keyword synchronized along with the method, we are actually locking this method. Locking in the sense, if one thread is inside this method, inside means if one thread is using this method at present, and if any other threads try to use this method, then they will have to wait. Okay, so here again the working remains the same. We are creating the thread called the start method. So first of all, the thread ss will be executed. So now ss will be passing the message welcome, and ss will be inside the thread, inside the method. And when we call thread.sleep for 1 millisecond, ss is sleeping for 1 millisecond. Even then the thread is inside the method. Thread have not completed its work inside the method, so that thread will be there actually using the method there itself. So at that moment we are actually creating second thread, and second thread also calls the start method, and it also calls the method display. But when ss1 tries to access the method display, since we have used the keyword synchronized, it will have to wait until ss1 what we can say come back or resume back after sleeping and completes its work over here, and then only ss1 will be able to access the lines of code inside this method. So in such situations we will be getting the output exactly like this. First of all, SS calls this constructor, copies the object string and calls the start method. We are passing the message to the display method. Here we are printing one square bracket and then the word MSG, that is welcome, that is a word passed by the first thread, so we'll be getting the welcome. Then the thread sleeps for 1 second. Okay, at that moment SS1 will be created. Again SS1 tries to call the display method, but it won't be able to access it because currently the thread SS is inside the method, and at that time the thread SS receive back after sleeping, execute this line of code. So close the square bracket, then comes, since it is println, after using the square bracket it's going to next line. At that time SS1, now the method is free because the thread SS completed its work. Now SS1 will try to access this method. So again we'll be getting a pair of square brackets with the word programmer. And then so here as you can see the order is different because we don't know, since all these threads are working parallelly, we cannot expect the words being ordered in the same order. Welcome new programmer. This is the output that I got when I run the program for one time. When I run the same program for the next time, I may get a different output because the three threads are working parallelly, so we don't know which thread will access the method for the first time. Okay, because all these three threads are within the same program, these three threads are trying to access the method parallelly, so we don't know which thread will access the method word display for the first time. We cannot specify the order in which the thread have to access the method. Only thing is, if one thread is accessing this method, the remaining threads will have to wait. So here the output that I got is welcome programmer new. Even though I wrote welcome new programmer, the output that I got was welcome programmer new when I run the program for the first time. If I run the program for the second time, I may get different order of these words, maybe programmer new welcome, because we don't know which thread is going to access the method at the beginning or for the first time. I hope you understood the need of synchronized keyword. It is to prevent. Just now we saw how to use the keyword synchronized with methods. So in that case the entire method is locked. Whenever one thread is accessing that method, no other threads can access that entire method. Okay. In certain situations we'll have to lock only a small portion of a method. For example, if a method has got 50 lines of code, we want to lock only say 5 lines of code inside that method. So there is no need to log the entire method as a whole. Instead of that, we want to lock only a small portion of that method. In such situation, we can create synchronized block within a method. Okay, so for that we have to use synchronized block. So synchronized blocks are used when we want to what we can say, only a portion of a small portion of a class or a method to be locked by from accessing at parallel time. So in that case we have to make use of the synchronized block. Now we will see how to create synchronized block and then it will be more clear. We are using the same example that we have seen in this video so far, but here as you can see the method displays the normal method. We have not used the keyword synchronized, but where we have used the synchronized is inside the method run. Here we have created one block separately. What's a block? A block means an opening and a pair of open and closing curly brackets. That creates a block. So here we have created a block here, just opened a curly bracket and closed it, and we gave the name as synchronized. So that block became synchronized block. And this is the syntax that we have seen in the first, second or the third slide of this video lecture. So here as you can see the word synchronized is used, and we have mentioned what is logged here. It is the FOBJ, that is the object of the class first. Okay, so now this block is actually locked. It's not the entire method, only one line of code inside a method. In this method there is only one line of code, but generally synchronized block means we're actually locking only a portion within a method or a portion within a class, not locking the entire method as a whole. So here we are actually locking a single line of code. That means if one thread is in use of this line of code, all the other threads will have to wait. So when SS thread is created. It's called start method. Now SS is inside this. SS is using this line because it's called the method display. The display method will start working. There the thread is sleeping for 1 second, because 1000 milliseconds, so it is 1 second. It is waiting for 1 second, sleeping for 1 second. After that it will print. After sleeping, after this time is over, the thread SS will print this square bracket, and then it will go. Then the work of, or then the thread SS will, what we can say, it will terminate because its work is over. And then, even then, at that moment, that is, and the thread SS is sleeping, we are creating SS1 as well as SS2. Okay, but even then, when the thread SS is sleeping, both SS1 and SS2 will have to wait to call this method fobj.display, because this line of code is actually inside a block named synchronized. So since the keyword synchronized is used, the threads will have to wait if that is being used by another thread. So again we'll be getting the correct output, even though the order in which the words may appear will be different when you run the program. When you run the same program, the order in which these words are going to appear may be different depending upon which thread among these three will start working first. We shall conclude now. In this video lecture, we discussed about thread synchronization. We defined what is synchronization, what's the need of it, and we also mentioned how to use the keyword synchronized along with the method and how to create synchronized blocks, and we also saw some of the examples. That is all in this video lecture. Thank you so much.